All right. I'm wearing my Flames jersey today because we're going to talk about playoff Connor McDavid and John Scott. Yes, that John Scott, who was an NHL All-Star in 2015, and his take about playoff Connor McDavid. And again, the Flames jersey, while talking about McDavid and the Oilers, is going to make sense in a second. But John Scott, what he came out and said, I'm reading this from my phone. Connor McDavid is the best player in the world, but if I'm building a playoff team right now, he's not in my top 5 picks. So there's 5 guys that John Scott would pick before Connor McDavid, and goes to talk about how Connor McDavid is not the type of player you want in the playoffs, that he's a point muncher, and in the playoffs, he doesn't come to play. Dude, Connor McDavid in last year's playoffs was an absolute workhorse. He was a monster. He didn't disappear for a single game in those playoffs. Like, did John Scott watch Game 7 against the LA Kings where McDavid put the Oilers on his back when his team needed him the absolute most and dragged them to the next round against the Calgary Flames, or against my Calgary Flames when Connor McDavid came out and absolutely dismantled us? Yes, Draisaitl had an amazing performance on one leg or with his high ankle sprain, but Connor, not only did he score the goals to advance the Oilers to the next round in overtime, but he was just a demon that entire playoff series. He just ragdolled the Flames, and that was one of my biggest worries, where like everybody's like, oh yeah, I want to playoff battle Alberta. And for me personally, I didn't want it because I had seen for years the damage that 97 has done to my Calgary Flames, and the fact that we've never been able to stop him ever since his first game against us in 2015. He's just ragdolled the Calgary Flames, and I didn't want the playoff battle Alberta for that exact reason. And I was right, because he came out and it's like the Flames are completely powerless against Connor McDavid. Seriously, like they can't do anything. It's literally like a hockey team playing against a basketball team on an ice rink. That's what we're talking about here. It was completely a futile effort to try and stop Connor McDavid. And in the playoffs, he kicked it up another gear. He was breaking records. He was hitting point totals that haven't been seen in decades in the National Hockey League in the playoffs. So to come out and just peddle this weird narrative that he's not a clutch player in the playoffs just makes no sense to me in the slightest. I don't get it. I mean, I guess there's like this weird stereotype that if a player just accumulates a ton of points in the regular season, he's just not a great playoff performer, or if the team around him isn't able to play up to par and get him past the second round, he's just not a good playoff performer. Like, Connor is doing everything in his power to get the Oilers as far as he can, but it's a team sport. He can't do everything himself all the time. So this weird narrative has to stop, because if you even watch Connor McDavid during the playoffs, you will know that this is a bananas take. It doesn't fly even for a second. So, I mean, these people who are saying this, they should watch the guy in the playoffs before they say this. And yes, I'm talking about when he did it to my Flames from past experience, but also in the other playoff runs I've seen. Remember in 2017 when he lit up the Anaheim Ducks? Okay. Or even in the first round series against the San Jose Sharks, he was dynamite. He's never ever sagged in the playoffs. Even in the bubble against Chicago 2020, the dude scored a playoff hat trick. Like, this just has no base in anything. I don't understand it. Maybe you guys can explain it to me. Whatever. Hey, I mean, let me know what you think about this in the comments down below.